Hi, welcome to AutomationX by Cycling channel. So today we'll be talking basically the basics of UiPath related to variables and all. So in the variables, we'll try to see how to just create a variable using different ways, using shortcut keys. And also we'll try to just play with the different data types like integer, string, datetime variables in this session. Okay. So I'll be just creating a new flowchart here. So I'll just say like a string variable is a file name I'm just creating here. It's a workflow I'm just creating here. So I'll just activate the designer panel so that I can just create the variables. So it's a best practice that like you'll use like prefix. If it is a string variable, try to use a prefix called str. So I'll create a variable strvar. And while creating a variable, it is advised that like you should be considering four things. First thing is the name of the variable type, and also scope. Scope is nothing but like the availability of a particular uh, variable inside your particular XAML. Also the default value. Default value is not mandatory. You can just create a default value. So for this, I'm just creating a default value, allow automation. Okay. So once you have created a variable, so I just want to print that particular thing. So I'll be just searching with message box in the activities panel here. So I'll be just dragging and dropping inside your designer panel here. And also I will just pass that particular variable here, stringvar, and I'll just go to the main page. And it's best advised to go with a run file so that it will just individually run your XAML rather than running from your main files and all. So you'll be getting a message box like hello automation. So that is the primary task we are just trying to achieve. Fine. So now let's say that I'll be using an assign so that I just want to change the value during execution of your particular process. So to the strvar, I'm just trying to assign a new value called allow UiPath. And again, I'll be just dragging and dropping the message box to make sure that the new value is getting printed. Okay. So I'll go to the main flow, just click on the run file. So now I'll be getting two message box popped up. So first thing is for the default value like hello automation, and the second thing is hello UiPath. Right. So it is like hello UiPath. So now let's say that I want to create a variable not directly from the variables panel, but using some shortcut keys and all. So how can I achieve that? If you see here, like only strvar is available, and I'll just use a shortcut key here as an activity control K. So strvar1. Okay. So I'll be just passing a new value here, like automation X. Fine. So if you can see the strvar1 is not created directly from the variable panel, but it still reflect every variable you create inside your particular flowchart here. Okay. So that is what happens in the variables panel here. So the same task I'm trying to achieve here. I'm trying to print the strvar1 now. Okay. Since like you'll be getting three message boxes, I don't want to just print the other two message boxes. You can just comment out the activities inside your workflow. How can you do that? So I have a shortcut key called Control D, and you can also enable using Control E. Okay, so that is how you can just comment out the activities inside your workflow. So I'll go with the Control D so that only other things will be executed apart from printing three message boxes. It will just only pop up with only one message box. So I'll just try to run the file. So final message box which states like AutomationX will be printed. So AutomationX printed. Fine. So that is how you can just utilize the message box. And you can see here in the output panel, so it says that like execution started and ended in 4 seconds. So some instances like for your debugging purpose, you want to see what's happening actually uh, during execution of a particular process. So we'll try to print something using a log message or else using a write line activity. Now let's try to see what write line actually does here. So write line will try to print the values inside your output panel. So I'll just try to drag and drop here and pass the same thing like AutomationX value here str_var1, so that like AutomationX is also gets printed in the output panel here. So you have your message box get printed, and if you can see in the output panel, the automation hello automation X is also getting printed because like you have utilized and write line, right? So here we have seen how to create a variable, string variable, and how to just create a variable using shortcut key Control K, and also we have seen how to use as an activity, use a message box, and use a write line, right? So now I'll just go with another data type variable. So I'll just create another flowchart. I'll talk about integer variable. So int variable as a new flowchart I'll be creating. So fine. So I've created the variable here. So I'll be just discussing about the scenario here where I want to add two numbers. That particular numbers should be given as an input by the user. So whenever you want to get an input by the user, you'll use an activity called input dialog. Search with an input dialog activity, and you can just drag and drop the input dialog activity inside your workflow. So I'll just mark it as like input dialog -1 value 1. Okay. So I'll say here, please enter value 1 for addition. Okay. So whatever the value that's been entered by the user, it will be stored inside your variable. So I'll just use your Control K. So int var1. Okay. So if we just go to the variable types, just change it to int32. Fine. So now I'll be using the message box to print the value that was entered by the user. So value entered by user. It's value 1 entered by the user. Basically, you'll use like place and it will say like what is the value? It's like integer var 1. But it will still show error because like it was not able to compile or combine a string and a integer. So you need to convert the value that was entered into basically a string. So you'll use like toString dot toString. So now your error will go. Fine. So now I've got one number and I'm just trying to print. So similarly, I'll just copy paste the things, Control C, Control V, so that I'll be not wasting the time here, and I'll just modify the things accordingly inside your workflows. So value 2, and also I'll create a new variable Control K into var2. Okay. And the similar way, I'm just trying to print the message box, and also I'll try to make sure that you are actually printing value 2 and you're also changing the variable name here to value 2, right? That was my intention. Okay. And finally, you will use a final message box to add these two numbers. So addition message box. So what I'll say, It's like addition of two values is basically you're trying to combine here integer variable 1 plus integer variable 2. Okay, and you're trying to convert the value into .to string. Just click on OK. Okay, so it was still throwing error because like you haven't converted your other type of variable to integer. Now the error will be going fine. So now let's try to execute the run file. Flowchart integer variable will be executed. It will ask the user for entering two values. After that, it will enter the addition of two values. So what is the first value? I'll go with like 89. So it states that like value 100 by user is like 89. And the second value it was asking, I'll enter like 11. So value to entered by user is 11. And the addition of two numbers is basically 100. So it's not like you can do addition, you can also do the subtraction, all these things. You just need to modify accordingly. So subtraction I want to do basically. So I'll just change the values here to like subtraction. So into var minus into var 2. Okay. So subtraction. So just change it accordingly. You can just try to plug and play as per your business requirement. Okay. So that is how you just need to learn this here. So I'll be just trying to execute the workflow where I'll be subtracting two numbers. So I'll just enter the first value like 100. So it will say first value is 100. So now I'll enter second value is like 50. So the second value is entered as 50 and the subtraction of two numbers is basically 50. So that is what the result is. So that is what we can do with the integer variables. Okay. And I'll just create another flowchart which talks about date or time variables. So I'll just activate the designer panel, create a data time variable, DTM variable. So try to browse for the types here. So it will be system dot date time. System dot date time. Okay. So I'll be just selecting that. Automatically it will be converted to variable type of date time. And I'm just trying to enter the value like 2023 hyphen 04 hyphen 01. Okay, so this is the date I want to just print here. So I'll be using a message box to just print this data time variable. So that is the intention I just want to use. So I'll just use the run file. There are a lot of functions we can apply on this data time variable. Let's see what we can do. So first thing I just want to print this data time variable. It will print like 16, sorry, 2020 0401 2023, right? So now for the same thing, just copy the same message box, Control C, Control V, and I want to get what? Only the year. I want to print in that particular data time variable the year. So I'll go with like dot, and you can see a lot of functions that can be applied here on this data time variable. So what I'll do, I'll just search for like here, where it will basically print what here. So what we'll do, we'll write the expression 0 only. So I'll say like here plus data and term variable string. Okay, just click on OK. You just try to run the file. So it gives me the year stating that like it was 2023, right? So let's see other different sort of functions we can apply here. So instead of printing the year, what I want to do, I want to print it in new line. So I'll just go with like plus environment dot new line, so that like whatever the thing you're printing now will be printed in the next line of the message box. So I want to get what? The day. So in order to get the day, what we can do? So same thing happens like date or time variable. So I just want to go with like date or time variable, and I'll go with day dot day. Okay. So again I'll convert to dot to string so that there will be no issue compiling. And again I'll be just copy paste the same thing, environment dot new line. So I want to just see the month. So double quotes, go with month. I'll go with like place stating a DTM variable dot month dot to string. Okay. Right. So let's see what it compiles in terms of year and day and the month. So it says like the day is like the first, month is like fourth. So and you can see 2023, and you can also see the day of the particular week. So you can do lots of functions here. So what I'll do, again the same thing, I'll try to copy here. What I want to go with, so day, week plus that is DTM variable dot day of week. Okay, dot to string. So just click OK, compile the file. You can see 2023 first, fourth month, and it was like Saturday. Okay, I'm like 0104, it's like Saturday. Fine. So now I'll just do another function where we'll try to see a newer thing. I'll just make a disable of this activity. I'll use assign here, where I'll create a variable DTM variable 1, and it is of date or time type. Okay, so I'm saying like DTM variable 1 is assigned with the present day date. So it's a system generated date. So it is like now. Okay, fine. So I'll use a message box to find the difference between these two dates. So I'll use a function called dateIf, where I want to get the difference in terms of the days, and you want to provide the dates, right? So it is like DTM variable 1, which is the present date 16th, and you need to provide the other date you want to subtract, DTM variable 2, right? So I'll say like earlier, it's difference between two dates is basically a dative function, and you're trying to convert that number to string for the compilation. Okay, so if we see the variables here, it's date time only. So I just forgot to add the plus symbol here. Okay, fine. So let me just execute. It's basically like 16th and the first, you'll have a difference of 15 days. So that is what that should be coming for us as an outcome. We can see the difference between 2 dates 6, 15. Okay, fine. So in the next video, we'll see about the collection variables, where we'll try to see on how to create different types of collection variables like array, list, dictionary, and data tables. So thanks for watching video. Happy automation.